Do we have another Battle of Brookline on our hands? I've got all you need to know about the country club at Brookline and more on this week's 4 thoughts from DFS Army for the US Open. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's your boy DFSUpNorth, aka Josh Thomas, here with another edition of the 4 Thoughts PGA podcast for my boys at DFS Army, repping the logo. Let's go. We got the US Open this week. It is crazy. It is June. I'm filming this Sunday night. It is June 12th, and we are already at our 3rd major of the year. We only got the Open Championship left after this. Crazy how fast the season goes now that they moved the players to March and everything got met in PGA. Like it's crazy now. But we are at the US Open at one of my favorite golf courses in the United States, the Country Club, Brookline, Massachusetts. You might remember the Country Club from the Battle of Brookline when my boy Justin Leonard dropped a bomb on Jose Maria Olazabal. Everybody ran over the green over Jose's line. Tough break, buddy. Make a putt. And the U.S. came back from a 4-point deficit on Sunday singles to win 14.5 to 13.5. You had guys like Steve Pate, Jim Furyk, Justin Leonard clutching up all the way down to Tiger Woods. Y'all, you might remember that from there. You might remember Curtis Strange beating Nick Faldo in an 18-hole playoff. I wish they still had the 18-hole playoff. The lasting memory for me is on those U.S. Opens, but the 18-hole playoff is Tiger beating Rocco. But we had an 18-hole playoff. Curtis Strange won that here. Julius Boros won it here on an 18-hole playoff against Arnold Palmer. And I don't even remember who the other guy was, but Arnold took a 13 here, never won a U.S. Open. Or not a 13, he took a triple bogey on the same hole 2 days in a row into the water. So it's, and how can I forget? Maybe the most impressive Brookline performance ever is a 2013 U.S. Amateur winner, Matt Fitzpatrick. That might be 2010. I could be completely wrong here. But Matt Fitzpatrick, my boy, you guys followed along on DFS Army a long time. You know that I'm big on Matt Fitzpatrick here. I've actually just saw he's 5th in strokes gained tee to green for the season so far on the PGA Tour. So it's going to be a really, really exciting week. Like I said, I love this golf course. We're going to get into it a little bit here. The way that it's shaped, I think it's going to be visually stunning on TV. Similar to, I don't know if you guys watched this weekend, but obviously we've got the PGA Tour going on, which we'll get to. The fantastic week with Rory McIlroy getting it done. We had the Curtis Cup too at Merriam. You guys might remember Justin Rose won the U.S. Open, I believe, at Marion. They've got the wicker basket, big, heavy flagpoles, but the Curtis Cup was there with the best amateur women from the U.S. versus Great Britain and Ireland, and just like visually stunning course, like fantastic. And I think this week is going to be even better because the Country Club is it's old school, as we'll get to here and we'll talk about, but it's a lot of fun to watch. So I'm excited about it. I hope that you guys are too. And like I said, it's going to be a awesome week. We are into, like I said, our 3rd major of the season. There's my boy Justin Leonard dropping that putt. Worst Ryder Cup uniforms ever. But the boys got it done, right? The boys got it done. Big shout out to my boy Duster for last week, 40K. Actually, I think it was a lot more than that. But all the guy does is cuts. There's my boy Fitzy, right? There's my boy Fitzy. Wearing the medal, U.S. Am champion. So the Country Club at Brookline, like I said, lots of history here. It's actually the 5th or one of the 5 founding members of the USGA, which is kind of crazy. Built here in the 1800s. I think they started with like 6 holes. They added, a couple more, another 9, and then they added a final 9, or the new 9 as they call it, called Primrose in like 1917. And after that is when they hosted the US Open. That was won by an amateur. The last one won by not the last one, but Francis Ouimet beat Terry Vardon. And man, blanking on the other guy's name, but if you've seen like The Greatest Game Ever Played, or you've read The Greatest Game Ever Played by Mark Frost, you should read that. Anything by Mark Frost, one of my sneaky underrated golf writers, or golf novel writers. You got guys like Feinstein. I just read this book by it's on the back here, Kevin Feinstein, The Last Stand of Payne Stewart, which this technically was the last stand of Payne Stewart. This was the last time we saw him here alive, was at Brookline here for the Ryder Cup in 1999. But lots of history here. It actually started as like a social club. There's a racetrack. You actually, if you look at like number one is maybe the flattest spot on the course, and that's because just off of the fairway is where the horse track was back in the 1900s. So but it's like I said, the way that they kind of built this course, what they did was they didn't have, these old school golf courses, they didn't have the ability to move rock and to move things as much as they did. So they kind of had to carve the course out through these natural features, and it led to some really interesting golf holes, which I think are kind of fun to watch, or it's going to be fun to watch. You're going to see rocks, you're going to see like craggy rock outcroppings, water. It's going to be, like I said, it's like elevated tees. It's interesting, right? So down the nitty gritty of the course, we're talking Poa greens, Poa creeping bent grass, rough. It says here, this was from the Golf Course Superintendents Association, bluegrass, ryegrass, Poa 3. Like, this stuff is going to be 5 inches. It's like, you are going to have to hit fairways this week. It is going to be nasty. It's a par 70, 72.50. So it's not super long. But here's the deal. The length in this course is manipulated by some shorter holes. So there's going to be a par 4 that plays about 315 uphill. There's a par 3 that they're going to play at around like 135. They can get up to 140. They can play it at 100. I don't think they will. Down to a really small postage stamp green. Small postage stamp greens, 4,388 square feet. So really, really small. Similar to what we saw this week at the RBC Canadian Open at St. George's, similar to what you'd see at like the RBC Heritage. All right, these little itty bitty greens, lots of sand bunkers. One of the renovation, Tom Doak, was, or not. This is last week's, but Gil Hanse, the U.S. Open doctor, came in and redid everything about 2 years ago, and part of that was the bunkers. He really scooped them out and remade some of the lips and the nastiness that you're going to see here this week. He didn't lengthen out the greens, but he made them a little bit bigger just to give some different pin placements and really to make some nasty pin placements. So like I said, it's going to be interesting. So that they really actually played smaller than 4,388 square feet. Water, there's a couple holes that you just can't be long. The water's not going to be huge, but there's a par 5 that you're going to be hitting uphill into a green, water over it. So if you're too long there, you're dead. I really think I don't know, my idea for a score this week. These guys are good, right? This hole right here kind of epitomizes what I think, or this picture right here epitomizes what I think about the country club. It's, you can kind of see the natural shapes. You're not going to get a lot of flat lies, and these greens are small and heavily bunkered. I can't remember who posted a video of number 9 this week. Par 3 that you are going to hit. If you hit it in the wrong spot on the green, it is going to roll all the way down. It is going to be penal this week. So that makes me think that we're going to look at like a 7, 8, 9 winning score. There's tons of elevation here. They added some, yardage. I just talked about the par 3. I believe it's I should get a scorecard up. But there's a par 5 that's going to play over 600 yards, and you're gonna have to hit the fairway, then you're gonna have to hit the next shot into the fairway, and then you're gonna maybe hopefully have a good look at the green from there. But when they played here in 2010 for Fitzy, they only 2 guys went for the green into, let me see, I'm bringing it up here at the 14th hole, 619 yards. Dog leg left, elevation. Actually, you know what? I can just do this. Let's do this. We're going on the fly here. We're going to go on the fly here. I'm going to stop my screen share. I'm going to share. Let me pull this out by itself. We can just watch it together here, people. share my screen window. Right? Yeah, there we go. We can see that. Or we should be able to. All right. So the par 14th. So you're going to have, obviously this is where a lot of the kind of the water is. It's not really in play. But you got a big dog leg left. You got to hit a cut into the wind, right? Like they said. So your landing area is here. Then you're looking way up here as your layup, right? You actually, I think we might end up seeing some guys, depending on the wind, laying up down here and having like a 150-yard shot in, but that tree is going to be an issue. If you can get up to the second level, you got 100 yards into like a super small green, 3,434 square feet. So like par here is an awesome score. A lot of guys talking about how if you are not, you're in the wrong spot on the green, or like if you miss here, you want to be in the bunker because the rough is going to be dead. That's going to be, you're going to see guys do that this week, is they are going to be pissed when they end up in the rough. And they are going to be happy when they end up in the trap. All right, let's just do the last couple of holds here. You got the roadway. You got 15 they got to hit over the entrance to the club, which is like crazy to me. But you get an elevated tee shot, right? Downhill, longest par 4. Like this finishing stretch is nasty. Steeplechase course. Interesting. 370. You're not going to get there, even downhill. Roadway, and then into this the deep green, right? One of the biggest. But they widened out over here. You can see they widened out over here, and you're going to get pins that are going to be tucked in here, right? You're gonna tuck pins that are gonna have big breakers on it, which is crazy to think about. Let's look at 16 here. Like I said, this finishing stretch is kind of fun. Par 3, 202 yards. Doesn't look crazy. Pretty straight away. Multiple teen areas. They can change it, right? Get a big bunker up front here. Oh yeah, no, closely mown. It's a kind of a visually. Oh, you are dead. You are dead if you are long here. Dead if you're long here. Nice size green. Let's see what they got at 17 here. Oh yeah, a little shorter par 3 here, or par 4, 373. You can look like you can cut the corner, but that fairway gets skinny up here. Francis Ouimet birdied this hole in the playoff, right? So you got these bunkers that are protecting here. Over to the right, like you're going to see guys. Yeah, I don't think many guys are going to take this on with driver. They might, but you blow through this and you're dealing with tree trouble. Like that's an issue. Yep. Focused on the tree there. And then a kind of a Gil Hanse squared 2-tier green, 2-tier at only 3,200 square feet, right? You can kind of see the outline. Everything kind of funnels in here, shaped front to back. Nasty. All right, let's see what they finish with. Hole 18, par 4. Oh, yeah, big bunker. Curtis Strange hit one in the bunker and got up and down from there. Pretty fairly easy tee shot, right? You got to avoid the bunkers. What's your landing here? 320 over the bunkers. So, yeah, you just keep it right. Try not to get left. Big, deep. Oh, man, that is skinny. Right? Like you can see how these guys are going to have a ton of issues this week. They're going to have a ton of issues this week with this course. So what kind of player does that suit, right? Like, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about it, right? US Open's play. I will say this, right? Well, we're at a different course. We haven't seen obviously Fitz played here in 20 whatever. US Open courses play similarly. All right. There's going to be long rough. There's going to be, very fast and maybe unfair greens at times with runoffs. So, you gotta, some of these guys that win, they do sort of have stuff in common, right? And one of the things that we see here is that John Rahm won last year -6, was second in the field in scrambling. Gary Woodland -13 led the field in scrambling. That was the only area that he led the field in. So you got to be able to get up and down around these greens. And as you saw on those videos that we just looked at, like these greens are so small. I would imagine that 60% of greens and regs is going to be really, really good next week. So you're going to have to get up and down, and who can do that, right? Bryson led the field in strokes gained tee to green and green in regulation, and the scoring average was +4 the year he won at -6, which is insane. And the first year that he kind of tried to overpower a course and really did. Brooks, second US Open win at +1. The scoring average was +4.65. So like I said, I think we're not gonna see a Gary Woodland. That's Pebble Beach. Guys played there a million times. I think this -6 range is probably what we're gonna see for a winner here. Because like I said, this course is tough, and 72-35 doesn't strike fear in the soul of a lot of guys. But when you're dealing with a lot of holes that are in that 450 and longer range, just because you got a couple of holes that bring that number down, par 70, not a lot of par 5s to score on, it's going to be nasty. And then you look at this, the weather doesn't look great. Gusts on Friday morning, a little bit of rain Friday night, Saturday, gusts up in the afternoon again for the leaders. Like, the weather does not look great. So who do I like this week? All right, Fitzy. The guy's been crushing it. Another good result this week. Super cheap, 8,500. You can see young Matty Fitz getting the win here before he headed off to Northwestern for a semester. Like, I'm in on Fitz. Like, that, he's going to hit fairways. He's going to hit greens. He scrambles well. He's too cheap. Shane Lowry, just going to keep playing him. I'm just like, all he does is rack up top 20s. He's got an elite short game. Like this, I will say this. Brookline reminds me, and because of the era that it was built, right? Brookline reminds me of a European course, a European parkland course. Now, I will say this. Part of why it reminds me of that is because it doesn't really have an architect, right? A bunch of different guys were involved here. It's not like a Tillinghast, right? Where he came over from Scotland or whatever and came and did a lot of courses kind of the same way, right? And so there's a lot of different influences here, and they just use the land. And Massachusetts, with those rock outcroppings and the way that you're going to be able to kind of move the ball, it reminds me of a very, very European parkland type thing. I don't want to say it's not like a St. Andrews. It's not like a Carnoustie. Maybe a little bit of Carnoustie. It reminds me of, to be honest, the course that they host the Scottish Open at. Not Centurion Club. That's where they played LIV this week. But where they host the Scottish Open at every year. It reminds me a little bit of that. You're not going to be dealing with the wind like you are there. But Renaissance Club. I knew it was not Centurion. It was something like that. But the Renaissance Club in North Berwick, Scotland. It reminds me of kind of like that, which maybe we should be playing Colin Morikawa here, right? No, he struggled there and then crushed at the Open Championship. But yeah, Shane Lowry, same story. Fairways, greens, scrambles well. Built for these kind of events. And that's these two guys too. 19, 20, 25 winner, probably not a great play, right? 6, 7, 5 winner, that's where they're at, right? Another guy who's been playing some really, really solid golf lately, just really steady, is Tommy Boy Fleetwood. And he is he's resurgent, right? He cut his teeth really as a guy who played really, really well in major championships, and now we're starting to see that again. So recent results: 10th at the Porsche European Open, 35th at the CS Challenge, 5th at the PGA, 59th at the Byron Nelson, 10th at the Heritage Comp Course, 14th at the Masters. So now he's got 2 top 15 finishes in majors this year, and he's 7,700. Valspar, I think Valspar is a decent comp, Copperhead, right? You got to keep it in the fairway, you got to avoid the water. 16th, like, the guy's just been on fire. Love him this year. He's only got 1 missed cut so far in the season. The price is right. Now, here's the deal. I built this PowerPoint, Canva, whatever thing on Saturday morning. All right. I believe at that point, Finau was in the mix, but he was way back. Saw some things in his game. I just really, really like this. I liked the price at the time. I liked, I thought, okay, man, like this is a course like he can rely on if he can, hit some fairways. He's got really, really good short game around the green, sneaky good short game around the green. The putter can get so hot and save him. I really, really like Finau. Then he went out and shot like minus 14 on the weekend here at the RBC Canadian Open and has vaulted himself into cash lock. He's vaulted himself into like highest owned player on the slate at 8,200 and 9,900 on FanDuel. So I'm a little frustrated in that. But I'm still going to play him. I think 8,200 is a really, really good price. And then on FanDuel pricing, right? So pricing this week in general, major championship pricing's always soft, especially an event like the US Open where we get a bunch of randos in, a bunch of guys coming over from the European tour that we just don't have a good idea of pricing on. FanDuel this week especially, all right? I get sucked into it every year, but they will price a lot of really, really good DP World Tour players at dead minimum, all right? It's already easy enough to build lineups on FanDuel just because of the way their pricing structure is. But with those dead minimum guys, like you can build some really sexy lineups. And a couple of those guys are in my my punt plays that we're going to look at right now. So a couple of low owned punts, and I'm always guilty of this. I'm guilty of maybe putting too much into some of these Europeans. But as you can see, these are 4 of my low-owned punt plays for the United States Open, and none of them are from the United States. Sam Horstfield grew up in Florida. He's an Englishman. And I hate that I have him on here because he's an LIV Golf Tour guy, and I'm off of those guys, but he's just been playing well. This is a good course fit for him, and he's too cheap. All right. So starting it off, that is not young Bryson DeChambeau. That is young Harry Hall, DK 6,400, and FanDuel 7,000. Again, a guy that is just priced way, way, way too freaking cheap. 245th ranked player in the world, was 31st last time out on the KFT, 5th the week before that, and then has won in his last 3 events. Just really, really solid player. He's won a couple of times on the KFT or back-to-back years now. And we are likely going to see him on the on the big boy tour here pretty soon and on a regular basis. He's played a couple of events on the PGA tour. When's the last time he played the PGA tour? 8th at the Shriners. That's pretty good result last season. He won in Wichita around missed cuts. That's impressive too. But yeah, like good ball striker, guy can score. In the mix every single week. Love that he is deadman on FanDuel, and will be all over him. Ryan Fox. Love me some Foxy this week. If you guys remember, we were all over him at the PGA Championship. All he's done since then is, he made the cut and finished what? I don't know. He's finished 54th. Was second the week before coming in. It actually had 3 straight top 10s. Was 54th at the PGA Championship, then came back out and was second at the Dutch Open at a course that played fairly similar to this, right? Like, not that bad. The big concern is with Foxy is that he struggles a little bit off the tee with accuracy, but he's very long, so he's going to be able to come in here and hit 3-wood. He's going to be able to hit, irons off the tee on some of these holes. And if he can really think the game, I really think that's going to be a huge advantage for him. And the price is right. The price is so nice. And Fox, I believe, is 3rd on the European Tour in strokes gained approach. Oh, 4th on tee to green. The guy just is a ball striking extraordinaire, and you're going to need that this week. Another guy who's a ball striking extraordinaire, like I said, is Sam Horstfield. Played really, really good, really well at the LIV event last week. Prior to that, he's got a win under his belt this year. Like I said, he grew up in Florida, was a young guy, kind of under Ian Poulter's wing, which is why he is on the LIV. Missed the cut of PGA, won the Soudal Open, 4th at the Dubai Desert Classic, 9th World Tour Championship, and like I said, just a ball striker. So if he can find fairways, he's going to be in good shape. And then Victor Perez, you guys might remember that name. He played really, really well at the match play a couple of years ago. Went on a nice run at the majors. 90th ranked player in the world, was 3rd last week at the Porsche European Open, or 2 weeks ago was 1st at the Dutch Open, where Fox was 2nd, held him off. The Frenchman is, again, a guy who he can get it around. He can get it around. Relies maybe a little too much on his putter, but he's 36th on strokes gained, tee to green. Or no, never mind, not his putter. On his approach game. Again, another not super accurate guy, but a guy that can get it going around here with his iron play, and that's what you're going to need. So those are my low on punt plays. All right. If you want access to everything, you want access to the cheat sheet, the optimizer, all our conversations in Discord, everything, use the code up. Go to www.dfsarmy.com. Use the code UpNorth, 10% off VIP membership. You get access to that. You get in early. You get it on the NBA games this week. You can get in on the buy a week. Just go do a week, whatever. You don't get the 10% off for a week, but you gotta get a month or more. But even if you just do a week, see if you like it, right? Get in for us. You got my core plays now. You got my low and punt plays. You want everybody else in between, because that is what's going to win you a GPP. All right. So use that code UpNorth. Hit me up on Twitter at DFSUpNorth. You can hit me up in Discord if you are DFS Army VIP at DFSUpNorth if you have any questions. I hope this was helpful to you guys. I hope this got you guys got you off on the right foot this week. I'm really, really looking forward to it. Maybe we'll have more content this week. Maybe we'll do another video on Tuesday night, Wednesday night. We'll see what's going on. But until then, everybody, again, up north, 10% off. Have a great week. I am looking forward to it. Matty Fitz is going to take down his first major championship. Get ready for it, everybody. It's coming. Or Shane Lowry, one of the two.